So, welcome back to another Storytime Sunday. And today I want to talk about respecting energy. As a witch and an intuitive channeler, I'm very sensitive to energy of people, but also energies of people's homes and old buildings and any buildings, really. And I think we all are very sensitive to these kind of things. It's just that our programming and this dumbing us down from our spiritual gifts has stopped us from recognizing these sensitivities with energy. I think we've all experienced when we've gone somewhere or gone to a party or an event and you walk into a space and you just feel off, like you were completely fine before, but until you walked into that space, you just feel there's something off, or suddenly the top of your head feels heavy, or there's like this foggy weird sensation that you don't know what it is and you can't put your finger on it, but you just want to leave. Or maybe you've even met somebody and you're talking to them, and in their company, you just feel there's something not quite right, and I don't feel safe, or I feel uneasy, or I feel not myself. And I think we can all recognize that. I think we've all experienced that at some point of our lives. When I first moved to Cornwall, my daughter was just over the age of 3. My son had just turned 1, and I didn't know anybody here. And I didn't really know what to do with myself. I didn't know what job or creative direction to go in. All I wanted to do is just to find my feet in Cornwall, get used to where I lived, and settle into some kind of routine. We moved to a very small village on a creek in Cornwall, and it was really pretty and really sweet. And there's a lovely little nursery there. So my daughter started going to nursery so she could make friends, probably like 2, 3 times a week. And then I could have this quality time with my son, which was really nice. One morning, me and my son Harry went into the local town. I was walking around the town and I came across this really pretty building. It was very tall and narrow, and it was full of crystals in the window. So, of course, I went in. It was a really small shop and it had incense, crystals, just the normal spiritual well-being shops that you see. And this lovely old lady behind the counter. I found myself out of nowhere telling this woman that I could hold space and hire the upstairs and run a spiritual development circle, women's circle. And she loved it. She loved the idea. So she agreed. And I can remember coming out of the shop thinking, why have I even offered that? I've got no experience of holding circles. I've never done this kind of thing. And I've literally just offered this, just said it, and now I need to commit to it. So I did. I did commit to this, and I did once a month. I went to this little shop and hold space in the evening and taught a group of women how to spiritually connect, just the same way as I had learned through my little Hogwarts yearly spiritual quest. It started with, I think, 6 or 8 women, and then it grew over probably 3 or 4 months into 70 women that wanted to attend. So I had to move to a different venue, which was a village hall at the time. It was really fun, a really nice experience. And within that, lots of them wanted to actually do like what I would call ghost busting, or go to experience ghosts or go to haunted places and things like that. So I thought it'd be quite fun that maybe once a month I took a group of people off, go to explore some places locally and see if we can capture on photographs and video any paranormal activity, as you do. I mean, we went to graveyards at midnight. We went to different woodlands. We went to abandoned buildings, things like that. We went to old chimneys, and there was a group of us. There was another witch there who was a friend of mine, so I felt safe with her. And we would call out spirits to come forward. I mean, you might have seen things like this on the TV where it's kind of a bit cheeky, really, because you're calling them out to touch you or whisper or speak or create some movement so that you can then photograph. And then after that, you can have a look on your cameras to see if you've seen any orbs or any shapes or people or things like that. So it was quite exciting as well. One of the places that I went to was Kennel Vale Woods in Ponsanoof, which is where I actually live now. But at the time, I didn't live here. And this woodland, it was so beautiful during the day, so beautiful. And I remember I'd been there quite a few times because my mum lived in Pontoon and so did my brother and sister-in-law. So we'd often go to this little woodland and there's a beautiful river that runs through it. It's really beautiful, especially in the autumn. And I remember looking back thinking, I always felt a little bit, it's like I felt I was being watched there. So I thought it'd be quite fun to go there at midnight to see what was there and to see what we could experience. So we met up outside at midnight, and then there was about 9 of us that walked in. And as you come into this woodlands, there are some rundown buildings that don't have any roofs on or windows or doors. And this was obviously a gunpowder factory, I think it was back in the day. And you and you go down this path quite far in, probably like a 10-15 minute walk into the forest, and then it opens up to this beautiful river. And there's some buildings before you get to seeing that. We literally got into the woods, and I think we must have been walking 5 minutes. And we stopped and we called forward the spirits as we normally did, obviously protecting ourselves first and being as respectful as you could. We asked them to show themselves, make themselves known. And then we went off into groups and started photographing. And that was with these little old, I think they're like 90s, little old digital cameras that you could get, not like the phones we have nowadays, but they were old, very basic, simple cameras with flash. While we were there, one of the women that was there felt really, really sick. She came over with this nauseous feeling. She had a painful headache suddenly come on from nowhere. So I remember taking her to one side, holding space for her, sitting her down and making sure she was okay. Other people could hear horses running past them, and there wasn't any horses. One of the women got punched in the shoulder, and it actually left a bruise. And somebody else had their hair pulled, somebody else heard someone shout in their ear, "Leave, you're not welcome." But the most profound thing within that evening was when people were taking photographs around, you have all the trees and then you have like the lower, like the ferns and the bushes and the greenery that grows there naturally. When they were taking photos of that, so by your naked eye you could just see bushes, what appeared on their screens on their cameras was, I don't know if you can remember the film called The Scream, which is that horrible mask, the white face with a long white chin that's screaming. It's quite, I don't like it. I think it's quite scary. But all I can describe was what I could see on the camera was lots of these scream-like faces appearing coming out of the shrubs. And I didn't like that. So I did feel a bit uneasy at that moment. My witch friend called Jean, she suddenly came over to me and she said, "Look, I've just had a real big thud in my back. I'm not feeling too good. I'm feeling really, really uneasy." And then I started feeling really like pressure on my head. I felt that I wasn't safe where I was. So we had to close the circle and leave. And to be honest, I've tried to go back there. I mean, this is a while now. Now I live in the village. Since I've lived here, which is about 5 years, I've lived in Pontoon. I'm literally 3 or 4 minutes away from this woodland, which is so beautiful. And I'd love to walk my dogs through there. And I did try with Walter during the day, but I literally got in a couple of steps and I had an allergy reaction as soon as I walked in there. And I just thought, this is not worth me going in. And the energy in that place, however beautiful it is, I don't feel welcome there. So I respect that. And I won't enter that wood ever again. Another time I've had this feeling is I used to do babysitting as a teenager. And I remember going to babysit, I think it was 4 children at the time. And as I turned out, because I didn't know the parents, this babysitting job came through somebody else. And I turned up just to meet the family. As I got to the threshold of this old barn, and it was like this coach house, we had to literally come drive down into it under this arch, had cobbled pathway, and it was really old, very, very beautiful. And as I got out my car, went to the door, knocked on the door, The minute I put my foot over the threshold, I felt instantly unwelcome and again very unsafe. I had pressure on my head, I have pressure on my shoulders, and I literally could not go through that threshold. And I had to apologize. I think the family must have thought, oh, she's really weird. But I've always been taught to respect that feeling because you don't really know what you're walking into, especially if it's somebody's house. And like everything, I don't believe that everything should be scary when you're working with the spirit world and talking about ghosts and stuff. And I've had many experiences, some amazing and some beautiful that's made me cry, but also some very frightening experiences. So it does make me respect the spirit world. And some people are scared of this because of what you see on the TV. And everything that you see on the TV is really rare, but I wouldn't say it's all light and pretty and nice. I mean, how I describe it as if you went to a shopping center, actual people walking around near you and in your energy are wonderful people. Most of them could be healers or teachers or just really nice people. But then there are some really nasty people and bad people in the world, and they're also walking past you in your energy. And this is the same in the spirit world. I think that we all have this sort of like antenna of sensing the energy of different dimensions and also good and bad. And this is a way of helping us and also protecting our safety. So I think, maybe the next time you go into someone's property or an old building, or you even meet somebody, start talking to them, and you get this sort of ick, this feeling, it's not quite right. I don't feel safe, or you suddenly feel sick, or you suddenly smell something awful out of nowhere, or just doesn't feel right to you, then honor that within yourself. Just be polite and step back and just say, I'm sorry, I can't come here, or just honor and respect the senses that you're actually feeling at that time, because it is definitely worth it.